Well, look who's coming through the door. I think we've met somewhere before. Hello, love. Hi, love. How are you? Well, where in the world have you been so long? I missed you so since you've been gone. Hello, love. Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Prairie Home Companion radio show. Coming to you live from the concert hall of Janet Wallace Fine Arts Center at Macalester College. Where we are with a little audience right here. Is there an audience out there? Oh. I've heard it said time and again, you often go back where you been. I really didn't believe it was true, but I left the door unlocked for you. It's right out there. Hello, Mr. Bill Hinckley. Miss Judy Larson.
Hello.
Mr. Vern Sutton is with us today. Mr. Bob DeHaven. Ernie Garvin is here. The Brescian String Quartet from the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. And who else? Me. Garrison is here. Oh, that sounds nice. It's wonderful now, you're back with me, and things are like they used to be. Remember love. Remember love. Well, you're back with me, and my life's complete, so don't mind me if I repeat. Come in, love. Come in, love. How did that sound? Was that okay? Did you think that was all right, Philip? No, tell me the truth.
Superb.
No, I want the truth.
Fabulous.
We could. Why don't you back up the tape? We'll go back and redo part of that. They can do one. You're shaking your head no? I'm just kidding. I know we're on the air live, but you know, it's such a long way from doing this, from where I started out in radio, at KUOM. You sit in a little studio, you know, it's nice in there. Well, microphone, earphones on. And about every hour and a half or so, you'd turn on your mic and you'd say, "You've just heard a recording of the Bach Mass in B minor. For the next 3 hours, we'll hear a complete performance of Parsifal by Richard Wagner." And then you could turn off the microphone and sit there, you eat your lunch in the station. Didn't have to worry about the Bayreuth Festival Orchestra coming in late or anything. Right there on a little disc. Nobody bothered you. And the thing about it is that you didn't have to worry about the audience not liking the music. You didn't have people calling up and saying, "Why do you play so much Brahms? Brahms is no good." People didn't do that. They knew Brahms is good. So was Bach and Beethoven. But in a live show like this, we'd get into a lot of pretty cheesy music like you just heard. You know, country music and folk music and stuff like that. And who knows? Well, I don't know if it's good or not. Because there's no criticism in folk music. There just is not. Like polka music, for example. There's no critic down in New Ulm who goes around to the wedding and anniversary dances and writes reviews of them. Like Mike Steele and those guys. I mean, writes little reviews like Walter Grout and his 6 plump Prussians demonstrated stunning technical virtuosity along with lyrical sweep and verve at the 25th anniversary of Mr. and Mrs. Elmer Shimke in Mankato last night. They don't do it. They're nothing like that. So how do we know? We have no idea if it's good or not, you know. I mean, it's kind of good, but who knows if it's great music? The other way, in case you're curious, that doing a live show is different from doing a record show. is that a live stage show like this has got to work out to some kind of climax. You know, we can't just stand here and play one tune after another and tell a bunch of jokes and do a bunch of Jack's commercials and think that's okay. Because people expect differently. When they come out to a stage show, it's got to build to a climax. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we got to get this audience to a point where at the end of the show, they're coming up these steps at us. Taking pieces of, off the shirt and the ties and stuff. Because that's how show business is. You can't just have 90 minutes of pleasant family entertainment. It's got to be great or it's nothing. I don't say that this has got to kill you, but I say you got to laugh so hard you get sick. Some of you do. I think for this show to succeed, we need a headline in the Tribune, like 10 stricken by show. 10, 12. And it's kind of hard for a pretty quiet fellow like myself to know just how to go about doing that. Like originally, I had planned that the show would start out with a flutist. He'd play for a while, solo, flute, whatever came into his head. And then we were going to have a lecture on macrame. And we were going to have a short talk on the future of the nuclear family. And we had a Tibetan nose hummer. He's good, but you have to listen to him for half an hour, He can't come out here in 3 minutes and make people think he's great. It takes a while for his kind of act to develop. And then as a finale, we were going to have Mayor Al Hofstede come out and talk about the need for charter reform in Minneapolis. I don't know. I personally thought it'd be a real interesting show, but the chairman of our program committee, Sid Batista, who's had a lot of experience in the carnival business before he went into used cars, he up and canceled all those acts this week, said it wasn't the sort of thing that people had come to see, and he suggested that as my first guest, I ought to have this fellow who's been in radio and who knows how to do this. This fellow is a writer, and he might tell you that his big claim to fame is the fact that his father took Ring Lardner's job as sports writer for the South Bend, Indiana Times when Ring Lardner went to work for a paper in Chicago. But we know him around here as a famous radio man, famous radio voice. Those of us who grew up here, who grew up with WCCO, where he was Friendly Fred and Uncle Bob and our own Bob, man who did those long weather reports in the morning, read the breakfast time news. Remember when you were a kid during the winter, it was his voice so often that would read the long list of schools that closed. And he never read mine, never. Also is the host of Good Neighbor Time, the last regularly scheduled live music show on Twin Cities Radio. Help give a warm welcome, Mr. Bob DeHaven.
How do you do? How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? What a nice afternoon on the campus.
You know what I'd like you to say first?
What?
I'd like you to say, Anoka Hennepin School District number 11 will be closed all this week.
Anoka Hennepin School District number 11 will be closed all this week.
And
How'd I
next
do?
week.
And next week. In fact, there's no such school. It hasn't been opened yet.
That's the one I went to. If there's no such school, what am I doing here?
We had a closing announcement. Many of them, of course, they'd swamp into WCCO announcements other than school closing announcements. Well, the worst blizzard is when Dayton's closed, and when Dayton's closed, you know it's very, very bad for Dayton's. And we had an announcement of a business out on Hennepin Avenue called Eva's Draperies are closed. And I was working with Erickson. He was on, as you are on my left, I was on the right, and I came to this and I said, Eva's Draperies closed. He said, is that right? I said, yes, you can't see a thing. We went on. Well, that's doing sort of what you're doing, Gary, making something out of nothing.
The trouble is, I don't know how to interpret
That's a compliment.
it. The trouble with funny lines like that on the radio is that probably when he did it, you didn't have a studio audience to laugh at it.
That's correct. And when I found out what I was getting into this afternoon, I was delighted to be in front of somebody and do a live radio program. It's a lost art, and I hope you don't let it disappear. It's lost to most broadcasters. It's simply a delight to get up in front of people who want to see you and are curious about what you're going to say. And I think radio has been stunted and hurt by the disappearance of the audience. I'm getting applause. I haven't had anything to eat yet, though.
I remember going down to see Good Neighbor Time, and I used to skip my swimming lessons at the YMCA. How long did that show go? Good Neighbor Time with a live band?
It started, I'll have to figure it this way, it started when the soap operas went off of radio. And I got this noon time from 12 to 1 to start off big, with a big orchestra that contained one of your guests here this afternoon. I was the MC, and it ran with an orchestra for about 3 years, and then records, and it's still on, still called Good Neighbor Time. I was on it about 12 years, I think.
But it doesn't have Wally Olson and his band. It doesn't have Ernie Garvin on it.
No, and it was better when it had live music.
I thought so. Those were the days when I remember Cedric Adams would come on afterward and read the news, and people would sit there and watch him do that.
Yes, yes.
To watch a newscast.
Yeah, well, that's what we do in television now. We watch a man read the news.
I never thought of that.
Yes, that's true. I could be a weatherman. I could point here and say there's a cloud cover coming in from the west. In fact, he's here already. There's a man changing a mic. You aren't coming through very well, Gary. We're going to put another mic on you there.
Oh, well, that's all right.
Put it over his heart, see if he's got one.
I'm just standing here listening to you.
Well, I was saying something about television, really not very important. That the news on television is just radio news with some pictures. Of course, it's better coverage because they're going through the eye as well as the ear, but it's radio news with pictures.
What are you up to now? I know that you're reading for the blind and the handicapped on the Talking Book Network, which is carried on a sub-channel of these stations.
Well, I have done that. I'm not a volunteer now.
You're writing a mystery story?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I took a vacation, and they didn't need me when I got back. I do make cassettes for... It's happened to you, eh? It's like the fellow at the bank, never take a vacation, because the examiner will come around and find out what you've been doing. I make cassettes for the Episcopal Guild for the Blind, and I have 2 customers. One, they're both blind, a nun in Roman Catholic nun in Philadelphia, and the other one is a lawyer, a gentleman who lives in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I tape whatever they send me to tape. It's a person-to-person affair. Now, you mentioned writing, didn't you?
If you're reading for a nun, you must be reading a lot of stuff you might not otherwise.
That's correct. And stuff that's beyond me, too. It is about the church and the religious, which I found out early in the game is a noun as well as an adjective, those who follow the religious life. And, well, it isn't beyond me. I can pronounce the words, but some of it is beyond my comprehension because I don't know much about philosophy or much about religion. I wish I did.
I have a question I want to ask you. I was going to ask you how you got your voice. You know, it's one of those natural radio voices that doesn't bear any marks of your trying to make it a radio voice. I used to listen to it when I worked at a parking lot over at the university during the winter time, while we'd try and get the cars through as soon as possible, as fast as possible, because it was so cold, you know. Making change there, and they'd all roll down their windows, and I could listen to a De Haven weather forecast practically without missing a word as it floated right by. And as I listened to that forecast, I thought, that's something I'd a lot rather be doing than standing here making change in a parking lot.
Well, I've meant quite a bit to you in your career, then.
You certainly have. You've been a downright inspiration to me.
Well, I'll answer your question. You did ask a question about 5 minutes ago, and I'd be glad to attempt to answer it. And by the way, I've already said a delight for me. Now I'll tell you another reason why it's a delight. Because when any actor or performer gets a chance to talk about himself, he couldn't be happier. Just couldn't be happier. My father had a big, deep voice, and my mother was a vocalist, but not a particularly deep voice. He was a megaphone man. Now, a megaphone man in the early days was a man who handled the megaphone. With no PA systems, you had to have a man with a megaphone so he could be heard at the county fair, St. Joe County, Indiana, motorcycle races, automobile races. And I didn't become a megaphone man, but he instructed me in how to do it, how to use it. And a megaphone, for the younger people here, is a big horn, and it comes down to a mouthpiece. He said, now some people put it up against their mouth, well, you can't talk there. Hold it away from your mouth about 1.5 inches and keep your voice in the lower register, and then it will carry through the megaphone. Well, that was the start. And when I started in radio as an announcer in 1930, I said to myself, and this is a direct quote because I remember it was a big event for me. I said, looking at the mic, now you don't know how to do this, so your best bet is to just be yourself. And that's what I did that morning. It was 3 a.m., by the way. The station in Madison was celebrating a new management, and they were on all night, which was unheard of then, except for the Kansas City station. And so I told myself just to be natural, and it was good advice, but it was born of not knowing what else to do. So I believe I have my father's voice in a natural manner. My boy's a radio announcer, and he has a big, deep voice, too. Well, you didn't say mine is big and deep, but his is. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Maybe it's more
that
answer
pretty
than
much
you
handles
wanted.
it. That pretty much handled it there. But the thing is that if you sit around in a studio and work the microphone, you get one of these little tiny voices like I happen to have. Of course, I'm a thin fella.
Yes, you are.
But you get out here on a stage and you want they can see you right here. You get out on a stage and you want to have a big voice. Now, I want to introduce Ernie Garvin, who's here.
Yes.
I don't want to just stand here and say, well, now here's Ernie Garvin now. I mean, that doesn't, he's worth more than that.
It doesn't sound like a show if you do it that way.
No. Would you do it for me?
Sounds like you're introducing him to your sister who hasn't had a date for about 6 years. Presenting Ernie Garvin! I was asked by Gary to come a half hour before the show started, which I did. And I'm sure Ernie was asked to come a half hour before the show started, but he didn't get here till 5 minutes after the show started, which is typical of Ernie Garvin because I've known him since August 1934. And he is, are you hooked up, Ernie?
Hi, Bob.
Hello. Ernie? Yes, all right. This is kind of an informal program, I can see that.
You know this fellow here. It's a learning experience for us, Bob.
It goes downhill from here.
Did you want me to stay here or do you want me to leave?
Well, you seem to know him.
Yes, I do. Do you want me to talk to him?
Tell me a little bit about him.
Ernie Garvin, I did meet in August 1934. You people think I kid a lot. I really don't. I'm very serious. And I came to the Twin Cities from Milwaukee, and I was program director of WTCN, and this is one of the first men I met. He was one of an excellent vocal trio, trained musically and prepared musically. They just didn't pick up guitars and start humming. And he and his brother, two Garvins, and the third was, his name
The
escapes
first
me.
was Paul Fillmore, and then it was Dick Link.
Well, Paul Fillmore is the name I was stumbling for.
Yeah.
And you fellows were on the staff and got, I think, $3 apiece for each 15-minute show.
At least, yeah.
But musically, and I'm trying to make a point of this because it's important. Musically, it was of high quality, and you have been producing high quality music ever since. Ernie was on the staff for a long time at WCCO as a musician. Then he was librarian, and he is a composer, and has written jingles by the carload. And Ernie and I wrote a musical show once too.
Right.
It's still in the upper shelf somewhere, unsung, unheard of, but it's a
Whatever
damn.
happened to that?
Nothing.
Can I try saying that now? Doing the introduction line?
Oh, pardon me. I thought you wanted. You
I
want
just
to
wanted to
imitate
try
me?
it. No, I
Well,
just
if
want to try.
you might blow a tube in the whole show.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Ernie Garvin.
Well, I'm going to play just a few songs from a medley from the 40s and 50s and so forth, and some of these old nostalgic numbers that a lot of we old gray-haired cats like to hear once in a while.
Exactly why I asked you to come on.
Oh, thank you.
Something about the accordion just makes me go right to pieces. I don't know why. Awful lot of kids playing them in the talent shows when I grew up playing Lady of Spain. Heard that
Right.
a lot of times.
There are a number of accordion students still playing, and a lot of them learning it, and it's a good instrument. You don't see it around too much anymore. But
Why did it come suddenly in the 50s? And
well, it's a sort of a one-man
No.
band all in itself. You know, you don't have to have a bass, you don't have to have a guitar, and I just really don't know why it suddenly became popular, but I know probably why it suddenly became unpopular. But now they're using mostly guitars, basses, and now getting into the brass instruments and the newer groups. But once in a while, you rarely hear an accordion in the contemporary groups.
I'd like to hear you play another one.
Okay.
Mr. Ernie Garvin. He's going to come back and play with Judy Larson a little bit later, one of her favorite songs. We're going to be right back after this message. You know, someone was just telling me backstage how nice it would be if Jack's Auto Repair had some sort of advisory board that could answer some of the lifestyle questions that so many people are raising nowadays. Like other stores here in town have teen boards that answer teenagers' questions. Couldn't Jack have one that helps everybody? Well, it's strange he should have mentioned it, because I was just on my way out here to tell you about the Mom Board, which was formed at Jack's only a few weeks ago and which does exactly what he suggested. Jack's Mom Board is made up of 15 moms, which meets occasionally to conduct studies and offer opinions on these very questions. And you know, we are in an age of questioning and doubt, an age when younger people especially, but some older people too, are breaking away from the old traditions, such as always wearing socks that match your tie, and raising doubts about our deepest beliefs, such as the belief that my mother taught me that you should always take a bite of potato after a bite of fish so that you wouldn't choke to death right there at the table. So when the Mom Board met this week, they were well aware of what they were getting into. Of course, they could have tried to skirt some of these controversial issues by taking up only those picky little questions like Dear Abby specializes in, such as, should I divorce my husband because he bites my throat and I'm feeling pale and listless lately? The answer to that one is seek professional counseling, which is her answer about 3/4 of the time. No, the Mom Board out at Jack's got into it this week with a frank discussion of how long a person ought to wait after dinner before going in for a swim. A subject that sensitive people with their marvelous openness and iconoclasm have long quarreled with, the tradition of waiting 1 hour after a meal before swimming. In fact, there was a small faction of the Mom Board that argued for a couple, 2-3 hours, argued that you should wait that long. But in the final resolution, the Mom Board settled on exactly 1 hour, warned against the eating of heavy foods, that is, foods that would not float in the water, but as a gesture of compromise with young people, added this option. They said, if you want to get right up from the table and go swimming and get cramps in deep water and drown, go right ahead, smart pants. It's your funeral. Just don't tell them that we didn't warn you. In some other decisions this week, the Mom Board came down hard against the practice of eating between meals, which has become common in some hippie communes and among so-called open marriages. And it pleaded with people to beware of drafts, even in summer. It voted to recommend that people should choose their books as they choose their friends. And it voted to censure Ewell Gibbons for encouraging the young to eat berries and leaves and goodness knows what else out in the woods. There's plenty of food at home, the mom said, without your having to go outside and eat stuff that's never been washed and who knows what's poisonous or not. If you have a question, send it to the Mom Board in care of Jack's Auto Repair. Attention, Miss Lefevre, in care of the station to which you are listening. Remember, all tracks lead to Jack's, where the bright flashing lights show you the way to complete satisfaction. Wallace Fine Arts Center, where today we have the honor of presenting the Wilma Haskins Dowd Award for Vocal Art, which is awarded every year to 2 singers, 1 girl and 1 boy, who, in the opinion of the members of the awards board of the Lake Wobegon Friends of the Voice, best exemplify the high principles of singing established by Wilma Haskins Dowd, the founder of the Lake Wobegon Academy of Song. The winner in the female division, famous country western star known, loved by us all, Miss Wanda Jackson, and accepting for Miss Jackson will be her high school classmate from Oklahoma City, Mr. Vern Sutton. The award for Miss Jackson is a Prairie Home album with Garrison Keillor singing some of his own songs. You be sure and give it to her. Tell her he's got a lot more in his car.
Oh, yes. On behalf of Wanda, I'd like to say thank you.
You're welcome. Now for the Male Singer Award, my pleasure to introduce a singer whom we all know and respect very highly for his sincerity and honesty, which I personally believe, maybe some of you may disagree, are qualities that we need a lot more of in a true singer. In fact, we asked him to sing me and Bobby McGee today, and he said he wouldn't do it. Because he'd never been busted flat in Baton Rouge, and he wasn't sure that he believed that freedom is just what? What didn't you believe? Another word for nothing left to lose? What does that mean? He didn't know either. He wouldn't sing the song. Mr. Vern Sutton, a Wanda Jackson album.
Let eagles shriek from lofty peak the never-ending watchword of our land. Let summer breeze waft through the trees the echo of the chorus grand. Sing out for liberty and light, sing out for freedom and the right. Sing out for union and its might, O patriotic sons of the nations may deem their flag the best and cheer it with fervent elation. But the flag of the North and South and West is the flag of freedom's nation. Hurrah for the flag of the free, may it wave as a standard forever, the gem of the land and the sea, the banner on the right. Let despots remember the day when our fathers with mighty endeavor proclaimed as they marched through the fray that by their might and by their right it waves forever.
We'd like to follow that with a song which we would like the radio audience here to join with us. Maud Haskins Dowd wanted everybody to sing. And we feel that we should certainly include in our program a song which allows everybody a chance to sing. And everyone listening there in the radio audience, would you find it in your heart also to sing along with us? We're going to sing a wonderful song from earlier in our century. This song was published first in 1900, a wonderful sing-along song called A Man Who Has Plenty of Good Peanuts. We'd like you all to join in the chorus. The words of that chorus are, "Oh, that will be joyful, joyful, joyful. Oh, that will be joyful when his peanuts are gone." The man who has plenty of good peanuts and giveth his neighbor none, he shan't have any of my peanuts when his peanuts are gone. When his peanuts are gone, when his peanuts are gone, he shan't have any of my peanuts when his peanuts are gone. Oh, that will be joyful, joyful, joyful. Oh, that will be joyful when his peanuts are gone. The man who has plenty of St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramps, colics, chaps, tetter, and chilblains, and giveth his neighbor none, he shan't have any of my St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramp, colic, chaps, tetter, and chilblains, when his St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramps, colic, chaps, tetter, and chilblain is gone. When his St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramps, colics, chatter, tetter, and chilblains is gone. When his St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramps, colics, chaps, tetter, and chilblains is gone, he shan't have any of my St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramps, colics, chaps, tetter, and chilblain. When his St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramps, colics, chatter, tetter, and chilblain is gone. Oh, that will be joyful, joyful, joyful. Oh, that will be joyful when his St. Jacob's oil for rheumatism, corns, cramps, colics, chaps, tetter, and chilblains is gone. Now the man who who has plenty of pumps, peculiar patent, perpetual pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations, and giveth his neighbor none. He shan't have any of my pumps, peculiar patent, pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations, when his pumps, peculiar patent, perpetual pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations are gone. When his pumps, peculiar patent, perpetual pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations are gone. When his pumps, peculiar patent, perpetual pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations are gone. He shan't have any of my pumps, peculiar patent, perpetual pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations. When his pumps, peculiar patent, perpetual pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations are gone. Oh, that will be joyful, joyful, joyful. Oh, that will be joyful when his pumps, peculiar patent, perpetual pocket, panoramic ponies for passing examinations are gone.
Mr. Vern Sutton. It is about 8 minutes past 5 o'clock, and I guess you know what that means, but I'll tell you anyway. It's time for the Powder Milk Biscuits segment of our show. Yes, it is, brought to you by Powder Milk, the all-good, all-flour biscuit with that good old-fashioned biscuit flavor that makes you sit up and say... And now singing for Powder Milk Biscuits, Mr. Bill Hinckley and Miss Judy Larson.
Before we must part, for when I grow too old to dream, your love will live in my heart.
Thank you, Bill and Judy. And I was just wondering if we could get you to say a word or two here about those good old powder milk biscuits, the biscuit with that good old-fashioned flavor.
Garrison, you could hardly stop us from talking about powder milks. We eat them and we love them. We depend on them. We have a definite biscuit dependency.
How right you are, Bill. My goodness, when I left the farm and moved to the city, a bag of powder milk biscuit mix was all I had, and all I knew was how to pop them in the oven. I was a babe in the woods as far as your city life was concerned. In fact, whenever I left my tiny apartment, I'd drop a trail of biscuit crumbs on the sidewalk so I could find the way back.
Little did Judy know that I lived in her neighborhood, and I was doing the same thing. One day, though, my trail of biscuit crumbs crossed hers, and when I went to retrace my steps, I found my way back to her place.
That's right, and I invited him right in because I could see he was my kind of fella. A biscuit fella. And we sat down and found out how much we had in common.
Which was quite a bit. We found out that we both had brothers named Harry, we both hated algebra, and we both had once visited the state capitol, the country history society, the county history society.
No, I think that was
the country history society, and the Minneapolis Star and Tribune.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't quite enough on which to build a lasting relationship, though, until I pulled a tray of hot, crispy powder milk biscuits out of the oven.
Folks, when I saw those biscuits, I don't know what happened.
What happened was you went into those biscuits with all four hands like a pig after blueberries. It was disgusting, and yet, in a strange way, sort of appealing to me. I like a man who doesn't sit and pick at his food.
And what happened after that, I guess, is show business history. Bill and Judy took over the early morning powder milk biscuit show on WLT and quickly became household words.
And you'd use some of those words around your household, too, if you had to get up at 4 o'clock every morning.
But they found there's no better way to start the day than with a plate of those golden powder milks, especially if you're trying to live on a radio star's salary.
Remember, folks, when you're a singing biscuit in a world full of Bismarcks, it gets to be a long time between four-course meals.
So buy 'em in the big blue box with a picture of the biscuit on the front. Put a powder milk on your plate for just pennies a day. Heavens, they're tasty, and now singing for powder milk, Bill Hinckley and Miss Judy Larson.
Well, I had a dog and his name was Blue, and I bet you $5 he's a good dog too. Blue chased a possum up a cinnamon tree, looked at a possum and he looked at me. Dog Blue, you good dog, you. Well, I baked that possum good and brown and laid them sweet taters round and round. Old Blue died, he died so hard, he chucked the ground in my backyard, dug his grave with a silver spade, and I lowered him down with a golden chain. Every link I called his name, called Blue, you good dog, you. When I get to heaven, first thing I'm gonna do, gonna grab my horn and blow for Blue, called Blue, you good dog, you.
Judy Larson. Brought to you by Powder Milk Biscuits. Brought to you by Powder Milk Biscuits, the all good all flour biscuit with that good old fashioned biscuit flavor that makes you sit up and say, thank you, kids. We're going to pause here about 10 seconds to allow our stations to identify themselves. You're listening to A Prairie Home Companion, coming to you from the concert hall of the Janet Wallace Fine Arts Center. Just a moment. You know, I think that finger pointing at me means I'm still on. Oh, I wanted somebody to do it for 10 seconds. But you know what? I see Ernie Garvin standing over here. I want to talk to him a bit because he is a rare man. And I doubt that unless we have him back, which we're going to do with, I hope we'll have you back with Leon Bondrud and the Bavarians.
That would be my pleasure.
Wonderful polka band. You're playing with them at Lake Harriet?
Tonight, yeah.
Tonight. What time does it start? 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
And it's free.
I believe so.
You have German dancers?
They can do whatever they want. They can dance or drink the brew or whatever. I don't know if they have it out there, but enjoy yourself listening.
The reason I said he was a rare man, though, is because of this tune. You know this tune. Don't you? He wrote it. You know, I was driving with Bill and Judy up to St. Cloud to do a show once, and we spent, I think, most of the distance between Becker and Big Lake doing commercials, and I bet we did maybe 3, 4 of yours. You wrote the Hams Beer
From the
theme.
land of sky blue water, yes.
Do you know that one? Boom. Boom, bum, 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 bum. That's right.
That's right.
A little more feeling.
Very good.
Yeah, you did, what else did you do? You did the Stanley and Albert.
Yes,
But
we
that's
did.
the one that I was trying to remember on the trip, and I couldn't.
Yeah, we did a series for another beer company with Stanley and Albert on it, and I'm Stanley, I'm Albert, da-da-da-da-da-da. Been a long, long time a brewing, grain belt premium. Oh, I said it. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Commercial.
That's all right. That was the part I was trying to figure out the words to, was the, I'm Stanley, I'm Albert, da-da-da-da-da-da. But there are no words for that? The da-da-da-da-da?
Yeah, it's something about...
You don't
oh,
remember?
I don't remember. I've sung 100 of them. I forget the words even. But it was a good series, and it ran for quite a while, and they had good animation on TV and radio spots as well. And we gave it a lot of different treatments, from Dixieland to Calypso to whatever, you know. And there were many others that we did for local accounts as well as some national accounts, some that played on Mickey Mouse program, and for Mars Candy, and for Lone Ranger program on CBS and all that.
I understood. I'm not sure if this is correct or not. You tell me. That the reason Jingle started out was because in the very early days of radio, radio was sort of a sacred medium, and they couldn't get straight into talking and selling a product. It had to kind of work its way in by way of music. And
yes, that's a reasonable assumption, yes.
And
they had to be subtle about it.
Yeah, wasn't the first jingle done in Minneapolis?
To the best of my recollection, yes, I believe it was. I believe it was that, Have You Tried Wheaties?
Do you remember that one? Have you tried Wheaties? Beautiful. What was the second line, though?
The best breakfast food in the land.
And then the last line was the whole wheat with all of the bran?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
I'm older than I thought.
The kiddies will love them, and so will you. They're good for some men.
And then
it's hard to recall all the words, but it was a very fine commercial for its day, and it was sung by a male quartet. Yeah. They were famous the world over, I guess.
Jack's Auto Repair could use a good, solid jingle. I don't know as I could write one myself. How do you go to work on it, in case I should try?
Well, each jingle writer perhaps has a different technique, but when someone hires me to write a jingle, I get all the facts about the product, and we figure out to whom we want to gear the commercial, figure out who we're going to appeal to, the younger element, the older element, or everyone, and then we try to design the music to fit that pattern. And I usually like to have the words and the music fit together very well, so that the emphasis on the main part of the commercial message is stronger rather than weak, and so forth. And it's a scientific thing. It's more, as I always say, 90% perspiration and about 10% inspiration. You just try, and you may come back to it the next day or even a week later and not like what you have written, and then you try again. But eventually come up with something that pleases even yourself.
Let me try out something on you. All tracks lead to Jack's, where the bright flashing lights show you the way to complete satisfaction. Would that go to music? No, Philip is cringing. It's kind of arrhythmical in a way. It's got off rhythms, maybe a little calypso beat. Thank you for coming. Come back and bring that whole polka band.
Thank you.
We want to hear them.
We look forward to doing that.
Just we're in the garden. We'll be right back with Vern Sutton and Philip Brunel after this message from another Lake Wobegon sponsor. We're happy to welcome another fine Lake Wobegon firm as a sponsor of our show, and of course that would be Arts Bates on Lake Wobegon, right across the bay from Jack's Auto Repair, wouldn't it? 2 weeks ago on this show, we mentioned that Art sells hooks, lines, and sinkers as well as baits at his bait shop, and that in fact Art's baits itself was for sale because the fishing has been so poor since the water level dropped 20 feet after they installed a new sewer line out to Art's new trailer park. Well, Art didn't have much luck finding a buyer for his bait shop, especially after the sewer line broke and all the fish in the lake come down with food poisoning. So Art has done the only thing he could do, and that was to diversify. And so Art is announcing this week the opening of his $28,000 luxury marina and boat resort called Art's Quiet Harbor. Art's Quiet Harbor is a revolutionary new development in marina building. Due to the extremely shallow water, a boat that is put in at Art's Harbor becomes a relatively permanent home, secure from violent storms and high property taxes. And there's quite a saving on gasoline too, as I'm sure you could understand. The marina offers electricity, an automatic washer and dryer, an Art's basement, a play area for the kids, 3 barbecue pits, home movies every night, and Art's collection of lawn ornaments, one of the largest anywhere. So if inflation is getting you down, folks, remember it's easy to keep your head above water at Art's Quiet Harbor. For more details, just call Jack's Realty out at Jack's Auto Repair. And we're back now. So is something else. Hello, Philip. Yeah, we're just doing a little informal show here today from the stage of the concert hall of the Janet Wallace Fine Arts Center. The Brescian String Quartet from the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra is going to come out in this next half hour. And Mr. Vern Sutton promised me, he vowed he would come back, because he has a lot of fans out here. Mr. Vern Sutton.
We'd like to perform for you several songs from the Minnesota operetta, The Prof and the Princess. This particular composition was performed at the University of Minnesota in 1910. It was written by a man named Mr. Allen, who was a class member of the class of 1911. We'll start with a song, the first song from this memorable show, a song called River Banking. When the evening shadows fall and the moon peeps through the trees, when you hear the night birds call and the rustle of the breeze, then you find your lady love and suggest a little stroll. You will know the way to go, for the river banks your gold, for the river banks your gold. 'Tis the fossil's own patrol when you go strolling, strolling, river banking, wandering along, strolling through the dusky shadows, all the world's a song. And then of course you swear that you'll be true by stars that shine above, when you're strolling river banking with the one girl that you love. And you go strolling, strolling, river banking, wandering along, strolling on the dusky shadows, all the world's a song. And then of course you swear that you'll be true by stars that shine above, when you're strolling river banking with the one girl that you love. The next song is one of the love songs from this score, sung by Owen and Janet. I believe it's sung by Owen to Janet in this particular case. It's a wonderful song called You, Just You. From that golden moment when I first met you, all the world seems strangely new and bright, dear. Every flower smells sweeter, has a deeper hue. Not a thing but seems to be just right, dear. Though I scoffed and even laughed in scorn before, when the poets sang their mystical love lore, not my own heart tells me every tale was true. You have put the last cold doubt to flight. You, just you, have made the world anew for me, dear. Filled each hour with gladness, banished care and sadness. Every moment as it's flown, you have made in ways unknown. Sweet as love's red rose full blown, you, sweetheart, alone. The next song, our final song from The Prof and the Princess, is a song dedicated to one of the buildings on the university campus and talks about its place on the campus, Alice B. Shevlin Hall. Shevlin Hall is a famous place of originality, and you'll be led a protracted chase before its like you will see. It is a place for humble man, and he'll feel ill at ease. For on his presence there's a ban, it's just girls, if you please. For it is Shevlin Hall, Alice Shevlin Hall, eternally feminine Shevlin Hall. If you're looking for types, you will find them all, short and tall, large and small. For it's Shevlin Hall, Alice Shevlin Hall, the very variety will enthrall. A neater and sweeter bunch you can't recall than is found in delectable Shevlin Hall.
We'd like to conclude by not doing any more of the great work, The Prof and the Princess, but rather turn to, I think, probably one of the tunes that the radio audience, as well as those here at Macalester College, are most familiar with. Of all the Minnesota composers that come our way, none remember them better than good old Floyd M. Hutzel. And I'm going to ask Vern, the verse is not as familiar as the chorus, but I'm going to ask Vern if he won't share with us today the verse of Floyd M. Hutzel's great immortal work, and ask all of you to join in the chorus, which I know you know only too well.
Rock, 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 rock. Honor to our college, Minnesota, you. Loyal to thy standards, will never be untrue. Underneath thy pennant, pulses beat with pride, and victory e'er shall be our aim o'er the nation wide. Minnesota, hats off to thee, to your colors true we shall ever be firm and
It's about 27 minutes before the hour. Prairie Home Companion coming to you today from the concert hall of the Janet Wallace Fine Arts Center at Macalester. Before we get done today, we want to thank Macalester College for letting us into this beautiful place. I don't know when you're supposed to celebrate the 4th of July. Some people did it on Thursday. Is Monday a holiday too? No? Didn't Congress pass a law? Doesn't anybody follow Congress here? Did you all have Thursday off? That was the holiday, right? See, I'm unemployed. I don't know. Thursday was the holiday. Monday, no holiday. Okay. We were sitting around with some friends up on the Sunrise River talking about old 4th of Julys, and they recalled they used to be a lot formal back then. I guess because there were more old people in the past. Seems that way to me anyway. When I think back 10 years, it seems like there were more old people then. There are more younger people now. Younger people do things like swimming and boating and stuff. But old people wear suits to picnics. Those picnics where you'd eat around a table under a tree. Remember that? Out in a grove or somebody's, out on a farm, and they'd take the dining room table out. They didn't sit on the ground. And there was a formal occasion when it was public. And oftentimes they'd read the Declaration of Independence, which I was going to read today, but aside there's the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness part at the beginning, and there's the lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor at the end. It was the parts that people quote, and then there's a long catalog of sins of the king, in between, which is really most of the Declaration. I guess it'd be kind of repetitious, like he has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has obstructed the administration of justice. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Which, might be kind of a controversial statement today, and we'd get demands from Republicans for equal time, and, we're on a tight schedule here. I thought I'd read you a non-controversial little thing. I don't know if it has to do with the 4th of July. It's a little poem by Wendell Berry. It's called Manifesto, the Mad Farmer Liberation Front. And he writes, love the quick profit, the annual raise, vacation with pay, want more of everything ready-made, be afraid to know your neighbors and to die, and you will have a window in your head. Not even your future will be a mystery anymore. Your mind will be punched in a card and shut away in a little drawer, and when they want you to buy something, they'll call you. When they want you to die for profit, they'll let you know. So, friends, every day do something that won't compute. Love the Lord, love the world, work for nothing, take all that you have and be poor. Love someone who does not deserve it. Denounce the government and embrace the flag. Hope to live in that free republic for which it stands. Praise ignorance for what man has not encountered, he has not destroyed. Invest in the millennium. Plant sequoias. Say that your main crop is the forest that you did not plant, that you will not live to harvest. Put your faith in the 2 inches of humus that will build under those trees every 1,000 years. Expect the end of the world. Laugh. Be joyful, though you have considered all the facts. Go with your love to the fields. Lie easy in the shade. Rest your head in her lap. Swear allegiance to what is nighest your thoughts. As soon as the generals and the politicos can predict the motions of your mind, lose it. Leave it as a sign to mark the false trail, the way you didn't go. Be like the fox who makes more tracks than necessary, some in the wrong direction. Practice resurrection. was awfully good.
Well, thank you.
The Brescian String Quartet from the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. Why don't you introduce the members?
Yes. Violist is John Gaska. Our cellist is Daryl Scoba. The other violinist is Carolyn Dawes, and I'm Hanley Dawes.
You're going up to North Dakota. I wanted to be sure to mention that because we have listeners up in the Fargo-Moorhead area.
Yes, we're going
Going
to
up
be
to
at
the
the International Music Camp at the Peace Gardens Park in Bottineau, North Dakota.
When?
This is the 7th through the 14th.
7th through the 14th.
Yes.
Do you know what this instrument is here?
It's an auto harp.
No, it's a Jack's auto harp. I just want to talk about it for a minute. Now, you rest. And then you're going to play a little Beethoven movement for us, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. This is the Jack's auto harp, musical instrument that is really turning the Lake Wobegon music scene upside down. Making a lot of people happy out there, but making trained musicians like these violinists and violists here so envious would be a word. Turn over in their sleep and groan because you know why? They've devoted how many thousands of hours to learning those complicated finger positions on the neck of a stringed instrument. And along comes something like the auto harp, where all you have to do is press a button, and you make a fine chord. Now here's a G chord. See? Nothing to it. You don't believe this, do you? Yes, I do. You do. Members of this quartet are just looking at me incredulously. I'll play you a C chord. Pretty much there. Well, I don't know. That sounds like a C chord to me if you played it alongside that G chord. Well, it's the perfect instrument is what I was starting to say for people who have no musical ability that they know of. The problem with the auto harp is that people who can't play any instrument but the auto harp often have a hard time remembering which chords they're supposed to play, even though it's so easy to make them. Like Help Me Rhonda. Now I start that in F usually, and then I go up to a B flat, and I come down to an F, and I have to go to a C7, but sometimes I go down to a G7. Sometimes I get into that A minor. You just lose track of it. To solve this problem, Jax has hired a number of top Lake Wobegon songwriters to write songs especially for the auto harp, and these are collected in Jack's Harp, a 42-page songbook available for a small additional charge. The beauty of these songs is that the chords are incorporated right in the lyrics of the songs, so there can be no mistaking about it. Songs like Be Seein' You, and a song that I can't do on the radio, but maybe later, called Hey, Your Jeans Are Indecent, G minor obscene. In fact, they even wrote one about the auto harp itself. I'll just do this real quick here for you. D is for delighted when your auto harp you see. E flat is for the flatter E you'll hear. E is for the easy songs that make the people weep. And F is for the teardrops that are falling in the beer. C is for the cash that's yours in an auto harp career. Put them all together, they spell Deefus. And Deefus what you'd almost have to be not to like a Jack's auto harp. Get yours at Jack's out of Prairie Lake Wobegon. All tracks lead to Jack's, where the bright flashing lights show you the way to complete satisfaction. You know, I noticed you were going to play a little Beethoven movement. Is that kind of a little dance-like little thing, isn't it? How is that marked?
Actually, it's
Slowly and sadly?
Allegro is fast.
Allegro does mean
Allegro
fast.
molto.
Yeah.
Molto fast, yeah.
Is it something? Is it something people might want to dance to at home? Never, never have that you know of. We have a dance contest more or less regularly on our show. But I'll leave it up to you. The Brescian String Quartet from the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. Russian string quartet from the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra going up to North Dakota tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah.
The 7th?
Right.
You going out to Washington to Wolf Trap, the whole
Wolf Trap
orchestra?
Festival. That's, what is that? In about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks?
We're playing a block marathon that's going to last from 2 in the afternoon until 11.
How can you leave us without music for so long? You're not doing any more concerts until the fall, are you?
And then only for 2 weeks.
Suppose we
And
want
then we're off to Communist Europe for 4 weeks.
Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bill Hinckley and Judy Larson, I want to thank you for coming. You're playing at a picnic tonight in St. Paul, an Irish-American picnic? Do you have to be Irish to go to it?
No, you don't have to be Irish.
No?
You can be Polish.
Whereabouts is it going to be?
Newell Park at 8 o'clock tonight.
And you're going to play Irish dance music?
And reels.
Yeah.
Oh, you're all invited.
That's tonight at Newell Park in St. Paul at 8 o'clock. Mr. Vern Sutton, thank you for coming. You're going to be at Walker Arts Center this next week?
That's right. I'm
With
doing
Mr.
I'm doing a workshop and 2 concerts with Robert Moulton, dancer choreographer.
He's going to dance and you're going to sing?
Well, and then he sings a
Basically?
little while and I dance a little bit, and it's well, we're doing 2 concerts, one on the roof of the Walker Arts Center. It's called Sing Along and Dance Along. A lot of audience participation. I want everybody to come, dance and sing along. And then we're doing another concert down in the auditorium on Wednesday evening. So.
Do you hear rustling?
Yes.
That's the Lake Wobegon Mixed Choir, which is coming up here on stage, and we just want to say goodbye to you. Bill, why don't you come up here, and Judy with the old mandolin. You know we got a song we always close with every week. It is getting him on about that time, almost 6 o'clock. Does everybody have their notes?
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
That's our show from the concert hall of the Janet Wallace Fine Arts Center at Macalester College. Thank you for joining us. Hope you can come back next week, 4:30, Saturday afternoon. The Sundowners, a fine string band, is going to be here. Bill, Judy are going to be back. Isn't that right? Back for Jack's Auto Repair and Powder Milk Biscuits. If you want to come down and see the show, it's easy to find, just out Snelling Avenue. Turn into the Macalester campus, and there you are. See you next week.